Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Meeting Space podcast. Today, I have an honor to sit down and have a conversation with Marin Bright. Hello, Marin.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well. I'm so excited to have you here and hear your professional expertise on some of the things that we will be discussing today. And we have a great topic in mind, but before we go there, I really would love to talk a little bit about you. And currently, Marin Bright is founder and CEO of Bright Business Media. I have a chance to be subscribed to Smart Meetings magazine, and that's how I know Marin. I actually attended a Smart Meetings experience in November that took place in Colorado Springs, and that is one of the monthly events that Smart Meetings puts together for event professionals. And you put out so much great content in your magazine. I am just super excited to have you here and talk a little bit about meetings and events industry as it's being restarted. But again, before we go there, please tell us a little bit about you and how did you start in the hospitality and events industry, and where did this path take you?
Yes. And I think I'm like a lot of people. I kind of stumbled upon the hotel industry. Actually, I have a degree in psychology and went to a all-women's college, and then had lots of different ideas of directions I was going to go, but wanted to really get out in the world. And so I went to work for Hyatt as one of my first jobs. My sister said, that would be hotels would be a great job for you because you're so good at lunch. And it turns out lunch was my specialty, but I also love the hotel industry because you got to meet so many different people, so many different businesses, so many it was such a wonderful variety, never a dull moment of lunching and meeting and setting up events, and went from there to the Mandarin and just fell in love with the hospitality industry. I think anybody, once you get in here, it's very hard to want to choose to leave it. And that was my beginning. And then I went to the Mandarin, and then the Four Seasons, and the earthquake hit in San Francisco, and it was suddenly, I've been through, and I have to say, with this great restart, I'm going to age myself a little bit here, but I have been through so many trials and tribulations and things that are very catastrophic. 9/11, Desert Storm, SARS, the Gulf War, many economic dips and recessions, and many positive things as well. So I have been through it all. There's nothing that I should say makes me afraid. Mm-hmm. And yet this particular pandemic is so unique that you can say that you were prepared, but nobody was prepared for this. I don't think anybody's seen anything quite like this. So, from the hotels, I decided after the earthquake hit in San Francisco and my hotel emptied out, and it was very difficult. People won't believe this, to get people to come to San Francisco during that time for a very long time. It was difficult. And I had a degree also in journalism. So my combination of psychology and journalism fit really well into sales. And I decided to go into work for a magazine. And I always stuck with the travel side of it. I love the hospitality and the travel. So I worked for the Business Times. I worked for San Francisco Magazine. I worked for a national magazine called Meeting News, which was the leading meetings magazine at the time and reported to New York. And I just fell in love with it. I was always based in San Francisco. I excelled at calling on. What I loved about that is I got to call on so many different hotels then and help them to be creative, which I love, and to expedite their business in meetings and group business. And then from there, I got offered a job to take over a little magazine in San Francisco that was called California Meetings.
Mm.
It was a little newspaper, and it's now Meetings Today. I started all of that and was there for 10 years. And when 9/11 hit and I was making some changes, I was getting pregnant and a number of personal things in my life, I decided to take a little break, and the industry and some of my staff members drug me right back in, and I started Bright Business Media a month after 9/11. So people would say to me, "You are crazy to start a business after 9/11." But there's no better time. Disruption can be opportunity, and there's an opportunity to reinvent yourself. And we can talk more about that in a little bit. But I think what's going on now is what's not happening to us, it's what's happening for us. And I like to frame it that way, and how we can take this and spin some gold. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. And I am we as a company, and I have a fabulous team. So it's in publishing and hotels. It's never about me, which I also love about this industry. It's about us. And we are on our 20th birthday this year. So 20 years into this, 10 years at Meeting News, and 10 years of hotels and lots of other magazines. So I've been at this a long time.
Sounds very impressive and very, it's a story. What I'm hearing is a lot of perseverance. And when you were speaking, one thing that came to my mind was the word perseverance. And, as you shared your story, I could relate to starting in the hotels. And, for me, that start was an unpaid intern. And here I am today with my own company as well. So big high five.
High
business. Yes.
I love hotels. I go on vacation and I make my family go have high tea at hotels. We go to look at hotels, even if we're not staying there. It's a passion. It always has been a passion of mine. And I just think this is the greatest industry. And then you put events into that. And I believe that what we do is like putting on a good movie. When you put on a good event, you can really touch people in a way that's profound. And you come back from a great meeting or event and you're so charged, and it can last a long time. I know from many events I've been to, the people you meet, the speakers you hear, the opportunities you have to do business with people. It can be a very experiential opportunity. I think that we as meeting planners need to look at ourselves as really producing things that alter people's lives.
True. That is very, very true, Marin. I know how I felt after I left Colorado Springs when I attended Smart Meetings Experience. And that brings me to the point in our conversation of face-to-face meetings and how they make you feel.
Right.
I know what I felt when I left that meeting. That was the first meeting that I attended since pandemic. So that was in November. We were in lockdown and in quarantine since March 2020. So it took me all that time to travel and to meet people face to face. And the way your team executed the meeting, the way your team stepped up to the plate to make everybody feel safe, it was truly amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And I have to say, that was a hard-won meeting because we were going to do it and scheduled in May, and then June. We moved that meeting 7 times. So I think as any planner, you have to be resilient. You also have to be really flexible. We like to say pirouette instead of pivot, although everybody was talking. So by the time we got to the Broadmoor, some of us were exhausted from redoing, adding more plexiglass, we started out, I'm a big believer in meetings face to face, and we were really eager to get back. So we were one of the first that headed out, and it was actually October, but November we did go to Nashville. So we've done 2 face to face with a hybrid virtual component, which is going to be important moving forward. Gives us a lot more opportunity, but nothing beats being there and having the experience. And we were able to, the Broadmoor did an amazing, by the way, the Broadmoor since June, of course, they were closed March to June, but since June, they've done over 300 meetings. So you talk about, I mean, I think a lot of people think the world is frozen, and in many ways it is, but the Broadmoor has found a way to bring people back and to meet safely, and it's been very effective. When we were there was 3 other meetings going on. So doing it right is key. Nobody got sick. There was 100 of us. We were masked. We were socially distanced. If you remember, we brought in a lot of technology where you'd wear the armband and it would tell you if you got too close. And we did that as kind of a setting up the definition for people so they understood that. The one-on-ones were set in a more of a living room type setting, so people were distanced, and we were able to do the food and beverage. I don't think we missed a beat, and the Broadmoor, I give them, again, all the credit for the quality of the food and the experience, even though there was a lot of changes. A lot of things had to alter.
And, I came in very last minute to this meeting. I remember being on the phone with one of your team members because I registered so late, and I was one of the last ones to be on the attendee list. And I must say, the way I was accommodated in the last minute was very encouraging. So going to the on-site meeting just confirmed for me what I felt, since I was
everybody probably will remember where they were. It's kind of like I knew where I was when John Kennedy got shot. There's a Dallas
reference, yes.
Thing like they used to say. I had a friend from Dallas who said in Dallas, because Jackie O never went back supposedly to Dallas. So if you didn't believe somebody, you'd go, "Oh yeah, Jackie O's in town." Right. So I remember when the shutdown happened and we were all talking about it possibly, and we were going to go in shifts and all of that. And then, nope, that Monday, the governor in California, and we've been very strict here in California, we got shut down, go home. I hope your Wi-Fi works. I hope here's your computer. Call us. We'll see what we're going to do. And I thought it would last for 3 weeks. I never in a million years thought that we would still be here. I'm sure many people joined me. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Valerie, at First Republic yesterday, and she was putting on an event. She had a ginormous tuna that was being flown in, and ice cream that was melting, and See's chocolate. It was for 1,000 people. I imagine there was a number of people in that place, but it was a shock. And very disruptive, I have to say. Then my team went into this Zooming me all the time. I don't know if it was to prove that they were working, but after a while I was exhausted. I had such Zoom fatigue, and we launched like 3 products during that. We were running, you do a fight or flight, and I kept thinking we were going to go back. After a while, it was like, don't Zoom me, call me. Just call me on the phone. I'm good. And here we still are, which is surprising. And of course, the numbers are not looking great after the holidays. And it's such a catch-22, because I think as for mental health, getting out there, seeing your family. My mother is in an assisted living, and I saw her once a month. She's in Reno. I'm in San Francisco. And I haven't seen her in 9 months, and I Zoom with her has been, so I understand people wanting to go out over the holidays, but now it's created this surge for us, which is very devastating, continues. I mean, it's like kind of like we were at the end of our rope and we thought we were going to open again. And now the restaurants are closed here in California. The hotels are still closed. And the cost of that to all of us on a bigger scale of our psyche and our pocketbooks, and myself included. I mean, my company is no different. We're in a survival mode, and our staff has had to take pay cuts and all of that. But we're hanging in there, and we're ready to get back. And I do see a light at the end of the tunnel, but I've rambled on enough about that. So I just think everybody's got a story about this that's going to live. We're going to appreciate things so much more. I know I do already.
Yes, that is also happening here on my end, appreciating what I maybe took for granted before the quarantine. Fortunately for me, Texas is, most of the things in Texas are open. And going, to places like Colorado or even Florida, it was eye-opening that not everything is as widely available to people as it is in Texas. So it is a different situation here, and I cannot even imagine, being in California right now.
Oh, California's been the hardest. I mean, I got a manicure this weekend, and I didn't get arrested because that's illegal, but I've known my lady forever. So, and her screen doors are wide open, and it's like being outside. So it's hard for me to understand. We don't have any outdoor restaurants. We have to go, and that's it. And hair, I mean, I'm trying to do something different with my hair so I can make it for my next cut. It's crazy. So, but we also are the most populous state, and we also have the highest numbers. And our governor is very conscious about keeping us safe. And I have to say, going back to what you were talking about with moving forward and getting on a plane, when the event finally came about to go to Colorado Springs, I was really nervous to get on the plane. I was worried for my team. I took 8 of my staff. If we got sick, that would have been a tremendous company hardship. And I remember packing, and it took me all week. It was like I couldn't remember. I used to have that down to a science. We went all the time, and that was like and I was really struggling around what to pack and how to, it's like a well-oiled muscle if you haven't worked out in a while. And then getting on site and setting up, and the Broadmoor, again, did such a great job of making us feel comfortable. And, when people came to that event, you want to talk about getting back face-to-face. We had people came in who started crying, who were so elated to be back meeting, that there was an emotional happening that we were caught up in, just to be able to facilitate that after being out for 6 months and people feeling very deprived of human contact and being able to meet again.
Wow, that's very powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how do you see meetings restarting? What would great meeting restart look like for you?
Soon enough. Let me just say, it can't come soon. And I'm sure a lot of people join me, but we want to be safe. We don't want to accelerate this crazy COVID. And the vaccine, it needs, I listened to Deborah Gardner yesterday, and she's such a great speaker and has a podcast, and she talked about give the vaccines to meeting planners, and we'd be out there with flip charts, and we'd have lines, and we'd have people there'd be some entertainment, we would move people along, and
some cocktails passed out.
And cocktails, we'd have some great music going on, and people would be moving through that line like Disneyland, and it'd be boom, boom, boom. So it is very disappointing how slow. We were supposed to have much higher numbers in January, and now I think, new president, we're going to see some changes and some acceleration in that process. And the word on the street right now is just get it out. Right now in California, they say anybody over 65, go get a vaccine. They're giving it to dentists. That's going to be a game changer for us in meetings, for sure. There's no question about that. We're probably still going to have a lot of precautions. I think I've always been a germ I've always been somebody who wiped down my airplane seat. I read something once about the germs that live there, although I think they're doing a phenomenal. Everybody's up their game, and the hotels we've written about in smart meetings about, the flippers and the channel changers and the places that don't necessarily get cleaned as well. So we're all going to be healthier. There's been much less flu. There's been because people are distanced and masked, and the mask is probably going to stay with us a little while. And there's some of these things that maybe we were a little too loose with the buffet. I don't know. But there's going to be, I'm going to feel a lot healthier and safer, and we're going to be a lot more cognizant, but we're still going to be able to get together, and that's going to be great. And then we're going to have the opportunity to travel more. I have a group of meeting planners I meet with, and they're all planning. We did a survey. I got to tell you the good news. 80% of the planners in our survey said they are planning to plan an event this year. So we are hosting an event, a virtual event next week, and I have, oh my gosh, scads, what's meant to be small, right? I've got 60 amazing Fortune 500 planners who have registered, who are ready to go. They want to come. They have business to book. They have active RFPs for this year.
Wow.
For this year. So I do think that the restart will be slow getting out of the chute here. We're doing our first live event in Texas, actually in Fort Worth, at the wonderful new hotel there. The ink is not signed, so I won't give away the surprise,
okay.
But we are excited to go to Texas, where things are a little bit easier to gather. And then April, I see a lot of our industry events are going back live April. And by June, the guess is we'll be back in more full swing, June, July, August. Certainly by September, we're locking up a phenomenal hotel in Las Vegas right now for September. And he's sold out, by the way. We wanted to go in October, and he's got so many meetings, he's sold out in October. So I think, and he's 3,500 rooms. So that's a really, really good sign.
That is a really good sign. Wow, 80% of
80%.
meeting. Wow, yeah. That is definitely something to look forward to and take as good news.
Yeah, absolutely. I do see in this restart that planners are raring to go. And I think hotels got to get there. I know it's been hard for us, and I know a lot have been closed or have been hindered, or staffs or jobs have been cut. But let's get going, folks, because planners, there's got to be more congruency. Planners seem to be much more ready to go and wanting to get out there than suppliers. So I'm eager to get my hospitality, my hotel people back out there so that they can get the business and the bookings that are going to be forthcoming before it's incredibly diluted, because everybody's going to be fighting for that business come June.
Yes, for sure. A few days ago, I don't know if it was last week, but in one of the emails that I received from your publication, Smart Meetings Magazine, I read the article that there is a possibility of having a proof of COVID vaccine before traveling. What is your take on that? Not to get political. Just how do you see that being truly executed, or is this just a forecast of worst case scenario?
I can't say for sure. I don't have a crystal ball, but I will say that as of right now, to come into the United States, you need to prove that you're COVID free. So that was implemented yesterday. So that is now an active travel policy, that you cannot get on a plane and enter the United States, or probably drive your car over a border without proof of you've got a negative COVID test recently. Mm-hmm. So it's not far-fetched. It's happening now. Will that be a requirement? I don't know. I think that we're all looking for a safe way without imposing on other people's rights. And some people, for whatever reason, don't want to be vaccinated, and to each their own. But I do know that we need to protect ourselves, and whatever that looks like as the road goes on, that's going to have to be a decision that the airlines and the hotels, I don't know if the hotels would participate, but how far can that go? We're Americans and we like our freedom, and we don't really take kindly to that kind of thing, but this is a different kind of war.
Yeah. I remember after 9/11 when, the security at the airports started to get built up, and the full body scanners, how much controversy there was about that.
Oh yeah. We're never going to do it. That can't be implemented. That's not going to last longer than a year. And now it's expect it. And exactly. It could be the same thing too, that, do you have the flu? Do you have I remember once I was on an airplane, and I very rarely get sick, and I got the worst bug and I know I got it from this guy sitting next to me who was coughing, and I brought it back and I gave it to lots of people, and I'd never been so sick. So, we're in close quarters on airplanes. I think they're doing a lot in their filter systems and the sanitation that's going to make things better. People have to take responsibility for their own well-being, their own health. I think as we open up more and more, it's going to be a lot about health and wellness. That's going to be a huge topic. So if you're not there now in your meeting and your event, you planners who are watching this, and certainly hotels, that's going to be with us for a while. People are going to want to know. It's going to be incorporated into meetings and events. We do that at Smart Meetings with the food and the yoga, and just shy of passing out vitamins. We're all about that. But it's going to be people. We've got to be healthy, and people are going to know that they, vitamin D right now, it shows if you have a lack of vitamin D, your chances of getting COVID are a little higher.
Yes, that's what I read as well, and I feel that with this virus, there will be a new emphasis on personal wellness and safety measures, with masks, with other protection, which before was not to be. It was not even. If I, for example, and I'm talking about myself, when I saw someone on the plane in a mask, I immediately, before COVID, assumed that they are sick and they are protecting everybody else.
I totally, and it's funny you should say that, because JT, my editor, and I, we went to PCMA last January. It was in San Francisco. We didn't have to get on a plane, and January was quite busy for us. And then we flew off to Vancouver and went to a site. And in Vancouver at the airport, now this is late January, the Asian folks that were going through the passport line were all masked. And JT and I were like, what's up with that? That's just crazy. I can't imagine, And of course, we had no word here in our country that there was any reason to do that, which we probably should have. We know now that those at the top knew about that and didn't share with us. But we thought that was completely far-fetched, and who knew? Right. So having a mask on, traveling a lot of times, I think for kids and things like that, it's such a way to keep yourself, what transpires between us is through your nose and your mouth, no matter what time it is.
So. Exactly. And I think that might become, new normal, having the mask and maybe traveling with the set of, health tests that you tested negative for X, Y, and Z. So you're not walking into a plane confined space with, a known virus in your body. Right. I can see that happening, those precautions being taken. And, for me, I'm all about my health and my wellness and, protecting myself and others. I would not want to be in a small space being contagious with something and spreading it around. So
Right.
I feel that there is a new frontier coming with how we protect ourselves from viruses, especially while traveling, meeting face to face. And, Michael Dominguez spoke about it a little bit at the meeting in Colorado, where, it will be, pocket hand sanitizers will be a new normal where you.
Well, I've been big on those for years, and the wipes, I've been big on those for years. So everybody should have, and I agree with Mike on that. And I also have invested in some pretty awesome masks, and I'm not thinking that was a waste of time, because I think they're going to stick around for a while, like Nancy Pelosi, and be part of our fashion statement. So
yeah. I see those masks being blinged out and, matching the outfits.
It's like a scarf, right? You have to have your mask, and I'm all about it. So I love fashion, and and I think, you think about it like anything. If you were, we've all done it, right? I'm at, I don't know, PCMA every year in January always seems to be the time when I'm fighting off something, if I'm going to get something. And you'll go off to something, and you might have a night where you shouldn't have gone to the party, but you didn't want to miss it. So you went and you hugged like 14 people, but nobody knew, and you weren't going to go, oh, stay away. I hate doing that because I'm fighting something, although it's responsible and a good thing to do. But now if you take charge of your own health and you have a mask on, you wouldn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Wouldn't be as big of a risk. So I think that the absolute benefit of our industry is tremendous. I think meetings are coming back. I think we're going to have a whole new appreciation for the information, the education, the connection, all of the good things that come about as a result of the meetings. I think we're going to hit a boom here. I think 2022 is going to be extremely meeting centric. And yes, there will be change is the one thing my mother used to always say you can always count on. So we will have a different normal, but we will be back, and we will be getting together. And I feel most certain that I, for one, can't wait. And I know that there's an awful lot of people who join me. We wrote about it in the magazine. It's called Venge Tourism, Venge Meetings, meaning revenge. Like, we've been so cooped here that I just have lately been visioning all my places that I want to go. And I know I'm not alone in that. So we're ready to go.
Definitely. What is in your opinion? I have been following a little bit with technology booming in this, space now. What do you think? Do you see, or maybe what do you see as far as the event technology trends? Do you?
I think that it's tricky. It's tricky. I think finding a technology that is even remotely close to it in person is very difficult. I'm really all about artificial intelligence. I have children who are engaged in gaming, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity. If I was going, you can watch these kids, they go in and they're like in a world where it's immersive, like you're in the hotel. And I think that is something that Hollywood should be looking at with us. And if we're gonna stay getting on a screen and just watching a talking head or exchanging like a Zoom is not immersive, and it's not. And I know even we do it too. Send a cocktail kit, and it's better than nothing. It's better than I have my cocktail parties on Zoom, and we've done it with our company and our Christmas party and all of that. Not even close to being in person. And I think a lot of technology is tricky with their personal Wi-Fi and their capability and how much bandwidth they have. All of that, there's so many components that can affect it so greatly that it's got a ways to go. But it's a good alternative, and I think we're on the track. And do I think that virtual meetings or will ever take the place of never take the place of face-to-face? Never.
I agree. I here, we chatted a little bit about this before we started recording podcast, the recycled material of the virtual meetings and, the slogans we all hear, virtual is here to stay, hybrid is here to stay. But, I read few articles, hybrid has always been here. It hasn't been on the forefront because face-to-face was much more important than the virtual. Right. But I read about Salesforce biggest meeting, Dreamforce.
Yes, I've been a number of times. And I'll tell you, that particular meeting or event comes to mind as a great hybrid. When you go to that meeting, you're bumping into everybody on the street. You can't get into the room. It's a line around the block for the lunches. It's, you've got some homeless issues you're battling, and it's tricky. So if I could sit in my office and gain the knowledge that is, I'm sure it could. There's pre-recorded now that you can watch on demand with Dreamforce. But, going and having the experience for a day is wonderful, or a couple of days, but staying for 4 days. And yes, there are some really fun social things. I saw YouTube, but it opens up a lot of opportunity there. It's very competitive and it's hard to get in. So I can see those larger meetings, the hybrid is going to be huge, but a smaller meeting, not so much. I am curious
to see the CES meeting past pandemic and what will be at the first CES meeting in Vegas. What kind of innovations will they come up with in the consumer electronics space? Because that is usually the trendsetter for the technological advance. So at least I think so.
It's coming. I got an Oculus for Christmas, our family did, and to be on those headsets. So you're like in another world. That's coming. And
yes.
But I still think I'm going to go. I still need the steps on my Fitbit.
There you go. And the physical handshaking, right?
Yes.
Feeling somebody's
excitement of all of that, seeing the people, it's such an important part of it. So we're not going away. We're going to get better.
I think so too. I think that the horizons will be broadened for the meetings and event planners. The virtual space right now is new, but I think this is we're crawling in that space. And I feel that we just over the years we will get to the jogging and then maybe sprinting and running full speed ahead.
Right.
I truly enjoyed chatting with you, Marin. Thank you so much for being my guest.
So much for having me. It's
of course
to be here.
Gosh, and whoever
you're following, and I love Texas. My little boy was born in Fort Worth. I feel like a Texan.
Well, when that ink dries up on that contract for Fort Worth, I'm looking forward to hearing what hotel that is.
Yes, you'll have to come join us.
Yes, it's just around the corner from me, so I would love to be a part of it.
Great.
And for the listeners, please subscribe to Smart Meetings magazine. It's absolutely crucial for any educated professional meeting and event planner that has.
And go online and sign up and join us at a live event. We've got a couple virtual coming up, and then we go live in March, and we'd love to have you. So
definitely amazing. Yes, smartmeetings.com. Thank you, Marin. I enjoyed our conversation. All the best of luck in planning the meetings.
I hope to see you in person soon.
Yes. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.